You know, you cannot help a person that still needs to be healed. In my life, I have met people that have presented themselves to me as to say they have had problems, they've had bad things that's happened in their lives. They're telling you all the things that has gone down, who's done them wrong. And when you have a heart for people, and even especially when you're a believer in Christ, sometimes you're going to find yourself really sympathizing and wanting to help them and reaching out to them. But I want to tell you that time and time again, I have found people that I've met that came to me with a story and had stories, and all these things happened to them in their lives. And even some, I would say, I met before even becoming a believer. They claim to have, these issues and everybody's done them wrong. And when you place yourself in their lives to be a friend, to be a confidant, and even in some cases, you may have dated someone, they claim that all these bad things happened to them and you're the best thing that has happened to them. And you are in a committed, loving, supportive, and faithful relationship. You will find these individuals will eventually begin to manifest another part of themselves where they begin to mistreat you. They begin to take advantage of you. They begin to suddenly paint you with the same brush of their experience and their pain. You will find that they're the ones that will lie and claim that you are this horrible person. They turn out to not be such great friends. They have an expectation of you that is unfair, or they give you little grace because they're going to think the worst of you all the time. And I've gone to God about this on several times and really prayed and asked God regarding this. And it's because they're not healed. They're people that go through things in their lives and they have been hurt and they have had pain, but they have never allowed themselves to heal and to heal properly. Sometimes people, they heal and they're fixated and they've cemented in their hearts and never again. Nobody's ever going to hurt me. The next person that comes into my life, then I'm going to treat them the way that I got treated. All men are dogs. All women are gold diggers. Whatever it may be, there's no such thing as true friend. Everybody are out for themselves. And so when they delve into that, and they allow themselves to believe those things. And not only that, guys, sometimes they don't go through, and especially if someone say that they're a Christian, they don't understand the process of healing, which is a process which also includes forgiveness. Now, that is not something that's just going to happen overnight. It may not even happen in 2 months. But the bottom line is that, especially being a child of God, those who say that they are believers, when they do not allow that, excuse all the noise, guys, I've got a lot of things in the car. When they don't allow that process, then they heal in a way where they're bitter. So what happens is they go in to people. If I can give you a visual, someone has a wound in which they are bleeding profusely, but they don't want to go to the doctor. So they put on a little Band-Aid, or they do their own little homemade fixer-upper, and then they get around other people and they're bleeding on them. They get around people, and what happened, because they're not the experts on wound dressing and healing, they don't change the wounds. They begin to get gangrene, and they begin to have infections and pustules and pus and all sorts of stuff and a smell. And what happens is they begin to rub off on other people. And because they're still hurting and they're still painful, any slight movement, and this is the same thing with anyone, guys, any slight movement of a wound that is not healed, or that continues, the scab continues to repeatedly gets knocked off, they are hypersensitive. They don't have the normal range of motion that they should have. And they're expecting that you're going to hit them. And they're so used to that scab hurting that they come guarded. They're covering it. They wince. If you lift your hands, because they're expecting a hit. And so what happens is, as I gave you that example, is these individuals will be in relationships like that. And they begin to wound others. You know, sometimes if you have a wound and an illness of some sort and you don't get that fixed, you can begin to hallucinate. That illness, that sickness can begin to affect your body in such a way that your reasoning and your mind can become affected. You know, when you're in pain and when you're in shock or something like that, after a while, you just start to feel that pain can be of such that it shuts you down mentally. You can't think straight. You understand what I'm saying? Physical pain can cause you to have shock. You know, when you are hurt and your body's in shock, what begins to happen? Blood from your extremities is shunted to like your midsection, your internal organs. So that's how people's face will get gray and their lips get that color and they begin to shake and all these different things, because shock to the body brings the blood from the extremities and they begin to they put it to the main organs, the trunk of the body, because it's needed to stay alive and to cope. So people that are hurt and people that have not healed properly, when they have wholesome relationships, they can't function properly because they're not healed. They're going to bleed off on other people. They're going to be in a guarded position. They're going to hallucinate in the sense of mentally, you know, they're going to believe that you're doing something to them that you're not doing and you're not intending to do to them. And they will behave in a way they can become entitled because of the things that's happening in their lives. They feel other people owe them. And so what happens when you're trying to be a friend to these type of individuals, or you're trying to be in a relationship with these individuals, you're going to find that it can be very difficult. That person that cried and told you all these bad things other people did to them, now all of a sudden they're going to be crying to other people and saying you did stuff to them. You'll find they have a nasty attitude because of what they've learned being in relationships with others who were evil towards them, who mistreated them. And I want you to know that it is not your responsibility to be nailed on somebody else's cross. It's not our place to allow ourselves to be abused by these type of people, whether it's a friend, a relationship. It is not, or even a family member. It is not your job. You're not in a position that for them to heal, they need to scrape off and slough off and shed that trauma off on you, because where does that leave you? And so there are people, as I've said, they will come with a story. Some is true and some may be false. Some may be exaggerated. Some may be just part of the truth. But when you invest in them, they turn around and they hurt you. And I want you to not internalize that behavior, but realize that person has not healed. They have not allowed the Lord to really deal with their heart. And so they heal, but they healed in the wrong way. When someone breaks a bone, the doctor has to first straighten out that bone, and it's so painful to that person before they put the cast and do everything else they have to do. If that stuff is left bent, that person may not want to stretch their arm out or extend their fingers, but if they don't, they're going to heal that way. And then that's going to affect the way that they function, and it's going to limit their mobility. And so there's a lot of people who have limited mobility in terms of being able to think rationally, reasonably. They have limited mobility when it comes to being fair, when it comes to being able to see the other side, and when it comes to being able to receive love and to give it, to be a friend and to be in a friendship. People like that, guys, you have to pray for them, remove yourself from them when God tells you to, because if you don't, you will become just like them. You become just like them, or you find yourself walking on eggshells, doing everything in your power to please them, and finding you will fail time and time again. Why? Because they are not whole and they are not healed. And those of you that do it, look inside yourself and ask the Lord to help you, to pray, to heal you, to help you to deal with those matters that's still within. Otherwise, you'll never be in a position to be able to be around individuals that truly care for you. Because what's going to happen is these individuals, people that really care about you, eventually they'll pull away from you, and you'll find yourself surrounded with people just like yourself. And you're going to be comfortable around that. You're going to find yourself comfortable having these emotional and mental battles and being in these toxic relationships because you have learned how to recognize, there's learned how to adjust, how to deal, how to fight back. And so you'll just find yourself being a cage like like wild dogs. That's not what God wants for you. And those of you that you love and you're an empath, you have the heart to love, and you being a Christian don't mean you're a fool. Being a believer don't mean that you're supposed to be a doormat. Walking in God's love also means having discernment and having discretion and having wisdom. Is God going to be a hateful God when he says, depart from me, to those who continue to do what they wanted to do? Is he a hateful God because of the people that have passed on and did not enter into everlasting life? No. They had a choice and they chose their own choices, and that brings consequences. And it's the same thing for these individuals. They have a choice. They have an opportunity to experience love, to experience friendships. And if they choose to ruin that through learned traumatic behaviors, then that is on them. That is not on you. Pray for them, guys. And as you pray for them, at times you're going to have to let go and move on before you become completely destroyed by them. All right, guys.